Canal International.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. I'm called Maureen. We'll begin with our top stories. Experts have warned of imminent natural disasters like floods, erosion, should the destruction of mangrove persist along the Warri coastline. The illegal exploitation of mangrove has also destroyed fish reproduction, with scarcity in the market leaving vendors confused. There are plans to immortalize the upcoming 20th May celebration in Douala with a short and beautiful march past. The organizing committee met for its second preparatory meeting today, during which the governor expressed satisfaction with the level of preparation this far. And midwives in the northwest and southwest regions have cried out that the socio-political crisis have imposed enormous challenges on their job. These as they join their colleagues of other regions to commemorate the International Day of the Midwife this May 5. And according to a 2022 report published by civil society organizations at DC, the situation of press freedom in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon between 2016 to 2022 is very disturbing. So far, 556 journalists have fled the restive zones for safety, while others, those between 2 to 15, are on exit. Those are major stories. Details right ahead.
Canal International. Canal International.
Experts have warned of an imminent natural disasters like floods, erosion, should the destruction of mangrove persist along the Warri coastline. The illegal exploitation of mangrove has also destroyed fish reproduction, with scarcity in the market leaving vendors confused. Despite being illegal, the sale of mangrove continue to strive as dealers ready to make quick cash jump into the high sea to deplete the ecosystem. Regina Leketanda has the rest of that story.
When our cameras were first spotted at the Pont Noir village, a reputed site for the sale of mangrove wood, the vendors refused us from filming, aware they are operating in illegality.
We are shying away because it is not an authorized activity, but due to the social aspect of it, the government allow Cameroon to be. Most of those who are here, to be very sincere with you, have not wanted to be here because, by the way, it is very dangerous. At times, some guys lost their lives in the river.
The demand for mangrove wood for cooking, smoking fish and other activities has grown in the last decade, resulting to wanton destruction along the Warri coastline.
Intervalle 1980-2017.
Between 1980 and 2017, Cameroon lost more than 50 hectares of mangroves. This equals 1,082 hectares every year.
1082 hectares de mangroves au Cameroun par an.
51-year-old Jacques is a dealer in dry fish at Yupwe. He decries corruption involved in mangrove depletion.
Avant, quand nous partions en mer,
Before, when we used to go to the sea, we spent just a day and come back with a good fish catch. But today we can spend a week before coming back with fish. There are placards prohibiting the cutting of mangroves, but security officials who are supposed to enforce the rule collect money from people who wish to cut and do so indiscriminately. It is sad and irritating.
On est là, on prend l'argent et on les fait entrer et coupe ça partout. Ça énerve.
The mangrove ecosystem is vital, acting as a natural barrier between land and sea, as are sequestrating 5 times more carbon dioxide than terrestrial forests. Experts warn the risks are abound should the destruction of mangroves persist.
Il y a un souci d'augmentation de température.
There is a worry of rising temperature because the destruction of mangroves makes it difficult for them to play the role of climate regulator. Additionally, it becomes difficult for fish and other aquatic life to reproduce, and there is also the risk of flooding.
Les forêts de mangroves sont des zones propices pour leur régénération.
Mangroves are a hub for fish reproduction. The depletion is already being felt at the popular fish market in Yupwe in Douala, where women are decrying the absence of fish.
Because price of fish there over high.
Fish has become too expensive. Look at the time we are still in the market because buyers can't afford. This is not fair. We need to take care of our families.
We will come over here like for 2 o'clock. Someone they come for 6 o'clock. It's not fair.
Mangrove is also implicated. It's also involved because it's helped fish to grow. It's helped fish to grow, but they are cutting it every day, which is not good. To do what? They use it to dry fish. Because, for example, behind you there's a dry fish market. Here we sell fresh fish. So they call we normally call it matanda to dry fish. People just go in and cut it anyhow now. You know, it's like a forest. Who is there to control it? Nobody.
Experts have called for the restoration of lost population of mangroves.
Des endroits où on a par exemple coupé le bois.
Areas where mangroves have been cut, like in Yupe, we can restore them. But areas which have been destroyed and infrastructure built, the government can do ecological compensation by planting mangroves else.
Là-bas, on ne peut plus planter de ce côté. Il faut faire ce qu'on appelle des compensations écologiques.
Rapid urbanization and the need for expansion, as seen on this area formerly occupied by mangroves, is putting pressure on mangrove on the Vuri coastline, while government needs to act to protect this fragile ecosystem.
And there are plans to immortalize the upcoming 20th May celebrations in Douala with a short and beautiful march past. The organizing committee met for a second preparatory feast today, during which the governor expressed satisfaction with the preparations of these far. More on that story with our reporter Gladys Ambo. Tiba.
45 minutes is the time set for the march past to mark the 50th edition of the National Day on May 20 in Douala, Cameroon's economic city. At the second preparatory meeting this May 5 at the governor's office, the organizing committee announced the participation of 4 schools in the primary, secondary and higher education sectors in each division in the march past exercise. The committee raised worries that only 4 political parties have expressed the interest to take part in the march past exercise and warned against any that will bump into the celebration ground without having taken part in any preparatory meeting. Banners, the members insisted, must carry only messages that promote unity.
We see that people want to renew with the march past and also remember that we are all belonging to the same nation, and the efforts that the government has done on the fields, and within this week we are going to see how far the government went with the youth problems, the communication, the building of roads, this and that, even at the sport level.
Sporting activities have been planned to begin May 14. March past rehearsals, socio-cultural animations, and a moral rearmament evening constitute part of activities to the build-up of the celebration that comes after 2 blank editions in May 20 and 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Midwives in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon have cried out that the socio-political crisis have imposed enormous challenges on their job. These as they join their colleagues of other regions to commemorate the International Day of the Midwife this May 5. More in the following story with our reporter, Hysen Cha.
The midwifery domain, just like many other departments in the Cameroonian hospitals, face numerous challenges that most often result to the death of the expected mother or her unborn child. The common guidelines binding the midwives, they say, is still absent, making operations difficult.
Every midwife here in Cameroon, they don't have the board of their profession. If they don't have the board of their profession, it's a serious problem because the security is not very well in the field. And now the problem that they have sometimes is because they work in some service that is not their service.
Aside the common challenges, the midwives in the crisis regions go through hustles daily in a bid to perform their duties.
The challenge of transportation has become so serious with the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon that sometimes the ambulance has to go round. But then, how many ambulances do we have? If the regional hospital has, is PM Anquen having? No. Are the Baptist hospitals, if they have, are the Catholic hospitals having? Are the private hospitals having? No.
Meeting in Yaoundé this Wednesday to commemorate the 13th edition of the National Scientific Day and the 100 years of progress in midwifery under the theme Competent Health Personnel, Sufficient for Maternal and Neonatal Services, Safe and Humanized. The Association of Midwives and Related Cameroon sends a strong advocacy for the government to regulate the situation.
And that they work in the place that they're supposed to work, in the maternity. Because when they send a midwife in the other service that is not maternity, it's very difficult.
It was also a moment to reawaken midwives, both the young and the old, to stick to their chosen mission of helping women put to birth and strive to reduce infant mortality rate in Cameroon.
And now the entrance to the Cambe District Hospital, a banner has been floating for the past days announcing a free, live, or saving health consultation organized by the Rapid Intervention Battalion of the Cameroon Army. According to authorities, the choice of Cambe to benefit from these health largesse is linked to their option for peace in a turbulent northwest region of Cameroon, whether at the ophthalmology, general consultations, or the maternity, among others departments. The Cambe District Hospital stands to benefit as the BE has donated 2 more incubators to the nursery. Let's take a listen.
We cannot count the number of babies who die without good medical attention because we didn't have the facilities. But today we have them. It was difficult to transport pregnant mothers to Kumbo, but we have them on the spot. So I want to say that this cooperation, this collaboration, which BE has brought under their maxim of the military and the population, it will go a long way in Dongamanto.
We have gynecology consultation. We have pediatric consultation. We have general medicine consultation. We have ophthalmology consultation. Totally satisfied.
And the initiative to reinstate the health of some mentally deranged people in the city of Yaoundé has yielded enormous fruits. 1 year after the operation was launched, among the 312 persons picked up from the streets, a number of them are responding to treatment. As we hear the following story.
The crowd happy to see smiles on the faces of these men, women, boys and girls as they descend from the bus by themselves. They were considered mad and rejected by families, picked up from the streets of Yaoundé through joint efforts of the Ministry of Public Health and the City Council to a special unit at the Jamout Hospital. And today, the story is different, with enormous progress on their health situation.
Il y a 312 personnes qui ont déjà été vues.
312 of them were picked up from the street, 147 taken to the Jamout Hospital. Among the 147, 49 have become stable and over 30 of them have regained their families that long lost sight of them and hope of restoring their health. Today's evaluation session in Yaoundé, an opportunity to remind the public that mental health patients should be taken to the hospital, not attributing their conditions to certain beliefs.
Some of them always thinking about witchcraft, spirits, spiritual problem, and it's the occasion now to say that it's a diseases like all that diseases, and that we have to support them.
Their spectacular dance steps evidence that they are back to their normal senses.
According to a 2022 report published by a civil society organization at DC, the situation of press freedom in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon between 2016 and 2022 is quite disturbing. So far, 56 journalists have fled the restive zones for safety, while close to 15 are on exit. More with our reporter, Kejang Henry Atembe.
Reporting from a conflict-ridden area like the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is not a bed of roses for journalists. A 2022 report from civil society organization ADISI, working on access to information and freedom of expression, says there was absolutely limited press freedom between 2016 and 2022 in Cameroon. The report presents a detailed investigation of the practice of journalism in the northwest and southwest regions since the escalation of the conflict. According to the report published after a survey of some 1,551 journalists, 24 are on exile, 32 displaced from the southwest region, while 65 journalists have been displaced from the northwest region. More than 10 were jailed as a result of the crisis. The report presents the situation on how journalists were formally warned by the state not to hold any political debate on the Anglophone crisis. Threats of life, suspicion, confiscation of equipment brought down the reputation of the government and the separatist movement in front of the international community. The report concludes by proposing recommendations that the government and the separatists should give freedom of the press a chance, that the state should respect freedom of the press, while the separatists should not violate the right of the press.
And the new Bishop of Manfé, his lordship, Aloysius Fondong, has officially taken possession of the diocese this Thursday, May 5. The ceremony took place under tight security. The Minister of Defense, Joseph Betiasomo, represented the President, President Paul Biya, at the solemn ceremony in Manfé this Thursday. This edition of the Primetime Newscast, the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. We have coming up next is the brief Leo Piejua. So we'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.